Fair Use Daily Reflections. This is a book of reflections by AA members for AA members. June 3rd. On a wing and a prayer. We then look at step 6. We have emphasized willingness as being indispensable. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 76. Steps 4 and 5 were difficult but worthwhile. Now I was stuck on step 6 and in despair. I picked up the big book and read this passage. I was outside praying for willingness when I raised my eyes and saw a huge bird rising in the sky. I watched it suddenly give itself up to the powerful air currents of the mountains. Swept along, swooping and soaring, the bird did things seemingly impossible for mortal birds to do. It was an inspiring example of a fellow creature letting go to a power greater than itself. I realized that if the bird took back his will and tried to fly with less trust on its power alone, it would spoil its apparent free flight. That insight granted me the willingness to pray the 7th step prayer. It's not easy to know God's will in each circumstance. I must search out and be ready for the currents, and that's where prayer and meditation help. Because I am of myself nothing, I ask God to grant me the knowledge of His will and the power and courage to carry it out today. Courage to change, one day at a time in Al-Anon. June 3rd. In order to keep family and friends from interfering with our drinking, alcoholics sometimes create diversions by accusing or provoking. At such a time, we who have been affected by someone else's drinking tend to react, to argue, and to defend ourselves. As a result, nobody has to look at the alcoholism, for we are too busy focusing on the particular point being argued. Any topic will do, and unfortunately, what we defend against, we make real. When we take step 1, we admit that we are powerless over this disease. We do not have the strength necessary to fight it. Defending ourselves by engaging in arguments with actively drinking or otherwise irrational people is as fruitless as donning armor to protect ourselves from a nuclear explosion. Only a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. Today's reminder: I am responsible for taking the actions necessary to keep myself safe. But when my safety is not at risk, I can take time to make choices about my responses. I don't have to react instantly to provocation, and I am not obligated to justify myself to anyone. By turning to my higher power for protection rather than my wits or my will, I avail myself of the best possible defense. There is a quote from Al-Anon's 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, and it reads, "Once we learned to see our situation as it really was, we understood why it was necessary for us to turn to a power greater than ourselves." Just for today, Daily Meditations for Recovering Addicts, June 3rd. Direct and indirect amends. We make our amends to the best of our ability. Basic text, page 40. The 9th step tells us to make direct amends wherever possible. Our experience tells us to follow up those direct amends with long-lasting changes in our attitudes and our behavior. That is, with indirect amends. For example, say we've broken someone's window because we were angry. looking soulfully into the eyes of the person whose window we've broken and apologizing would not be sufficient. We directly amend the wrong we've done by admitting it and replacing the window. We mend what we have damaged. Then we follow up our direct amends with indirect amends. If we've acted out on our anger breaking someone's window, we examine the pattern of our behavior and our attitudes. After we repair the broken window, we seek to repair our broken attitudes as well. We try to mend our ways. We modify our behavior and make a daily effort not to act out on our anger. We make direct amends by repairing the damage we do. We make indirect amends by repairing the attitudes that cause us to damage in the first place, helping ensure we won't cause further damage in the future. Just for today, I will make direct amends wherever possible. I will also make indirect amends, mending my ways, changing my attitudes, and altering my behavior. Today, Emotions Anonymous, June 3rd. Reflection for today. There are so many things I cannot change. What other people say and do and feel is beyond my power, just as is the weather, the passing of time, and my basic physical makeup. To wish otherwise is to waste my energy on a dead end. When I accept the things I cannot change, I free myself to recognize opportunities in every situation. For my own serenity, I will take what good I can from everything I encounter today and leave the rest. Meditation for today. When one door is locked to me, please guide me toward the door which is open. Today I will remember. I will focus on accepting myself just as I am. Strengthening my recovery. Meditations for adult children of alcoholics, dysfunctional families. June 3rd. Step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all the defects of character, BRB, which means Big Red Book, page 207. We may have balked at the words character defects. Wouldn't a more appropriate term be character defenses? Didn't they get us through an unlivable situation? Wasn't the destruction we experienced part and parcel of surviving a hostile environment? But whether we call them defects or defenses, when we get to ACA, we finally realize they don't work in our lives anymore, that we are ready to put them down. We begin to ask our higher power to remove these things as we are ready to give them up. The process becomes intuitive as we continue to work the steps, become sponsors, and see the positive effects the program has on ourselves and others. We shed our coping mechanisms as we see them for what they really are. We can't believe we haven't seen them before, but now we know and we won't go back. This new way of life is based on accountability. We cultivate our inner loving parent and show our inner child we can be trusted. Just as a healthy parent sets safe boundaries for a child, we set boundaries for ourselves. Our hurt parts no longer run the show. Our inner child walks into the love and flourishes. The affirmation reads, "On this day I become willing to examine and remove the next defect that I am tired of carrying around." This is DHB, Devotion, Health, and Beauty Recovery Network, Daily Affirmations, Reflections, Devotions, and Meditations. Read by Day. Please walk with me on this recovery journey of self-reflection, renewal, and hope. Share, subscribe, like, and be the you that you are created to be, one day at a time. And remember that you are not alone.